So it's Robert here, and I'm starting a new project, and I'm going to try to make a time lapse of it. It's a print file, a 3D print file I got off Cults 3D. I paid them for it because some of them you have to pay them for, which is fine. It's got a lot more to it than I realized, but it's basically an animated Iron Man statue kind of thing with a bunch of servos and voices. And so I just thought I'd start on it. I got everything printed. I wasn't going to show you the print process, although I'll probably throw a couple of them in there just so you can see it. I printed it on a Bamboo Labs XC1 Carbon, I think it's called. And it did a pretty good job. I didn't document any of the cleanup work because it wasn't terrible amounts, but there was some, so I had to clean up some of the parts. But I've got them all laid out. I'm inventorying them right now. And then we're going to start doing all the prep work, and I'm hoping to do a time lapse, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of narrate this while it's playing because it's all a time lapse, so there's no sound. And this Iron Man, animated Iron Man print was something I found on Cults 3D. It's a great print. Pretty technical. I got probably about 80 hours into the sucker. But it's my first one I've ever built. So, it took me probably longer than it would have taken somebody that built these all the time. The I learned a lot. I had to buy an airbrush, and so I picked up a lot of new little things. This part right here, that's Black Widow from the Avengers. I printed her a while back, and then I painted her, and that's kind of what got me interested in this a little bit. And so then I found this Iron Man thing. I thought, man, I got to have one that moves and talks. So there he is, and it was quite an in-depth build. Learned a lot about that. I do some Arduino and robotic stuff anyway, so the electrical and electronic parts wasn't bad. I do model planes and bat wings and things, so the servos I was familiar with. But putting it all together into this was a little different, but I really enjoyed most of it. It came out really well. I really liked the way he came out. The paint process was pretty straightforward. He's not exactly the exact colors because I ended up changing a couple things, and if I was to build another one, I'd probably switch up the paint a little bit, but not much. I mean, the stuff that they recommended is really cool, but it's very fragile paint, so he scratches real easy, even if you clear him out. But you're not going to handle him much anyway. He's just going to sit in the corner and do his thing. My girlfriend just loves him in the house. Yeah, he really added to the decor.
Yeah,
But
whatever.
but uh, but I had a lot of fun building him, and so I just thought a lot of people said, well, we'd like to see a video of him, so here it is, and I tried to speed it up as much as I could so it wouldn't be too boring. I shrunk it down, uh, as much as I could, and sped up the time lapses, so it probably looks a little jerky sometimes. Uh, I printed him pretty much the way the gentleman that sold the print file recommended, but I did end up reprinting his forearms because, of course, it was all multiple pieces. His forearms is from his elbow down to his hands was originally about 5 or 6 separate prints on each arm, and right here where I'm actually putting the original arms together, I actually ended up the final print. The final Iron Man has different arms than the ones I'm actually assembling right now. The biceps stayed the same, but the forearms, I ended up merging those in another program. Everything from the elbow all the way to the hand, I merged those files and did a single print on all that out of some lightweight PLA that I use for printing lightweight airplanes. And the reason I did that was the servos, the shoulder servos were plenty strong enough, but the outer shoulder servos, they were having, and so were the elbow servos, were having just a little bit of trouble with that weight. So I ended up printing the final forearms and the hands, everything from the elbow to the fingertips was printed in what's called lightweight PLA, and it finished off just fine. Looked just as good as the regular PLA. The elbow joint was a little rougher, so I just left it red instead of painting it a different color, or the gold part. And there on the front of his legs, right there, out on the front of his leg, that's supposed to be a chrome color, but I stayed with red because I just liked it better. At one point you'll see me working on the arc reactor in his chest, and that was interesting. I learned a lot about trying to solder those little micro LEDs together. Boy, that was a job. But I ended up just taking them. I bought a string of them like you would have used in an assembly line, and then popped them out, and then I just flipped them over, made sure I lined them up so the positive and the negatives were correct, and then I just super glued them to a clear piece of film, and then I was able to solder them together much easier after that. So that worked out good. I boosted up the number of LEDs in his visor because I wanted it to be a little brighter in his eyes, and then I ran those off a transistor so that the Arduino didn't have to run the current for those, which worked good. There I am testing his arms out. I got a little servo tester that I use for other applications, so I was able to, put his arms together and run the arms up and down on my servo tester, and just kind of worked it out. But I did actually end up, I've got his original arms laying out in the shed. I did end up using a different set of forearms on the final one, and they worked out. They were much lighter. They were like half as heavy as the original PLAs. So that worked out really well, and it really quieted those servos down quite a bit because they were working a little bit to lift those. Because the micro servos, the big servos in his shoulders were fine. They didn't have too much trouble with the weight. But that's interesting because they did swing down slower and quieter once I did lighten up the forearms. So that worked out fine. And the lightweight PLA looked just as good as the other PLA. So you can't really tell the difference as far as the texture and all that. On the arc reactor, when I built the arc reactor, that was interesting. They recommended a little clear piece of plastic you just cut in a circle, but I just measured it. I think it was 24 millimeters or something like that. And you could find on Amazon all day long, you could find watch crystals, little flat glass watch crystals that were exactly, you can get them almost any diameter you want. So you can get, I think, a pack of 5 or something I bought for like $6. And so his arc reactor actually has a piece of glass in front of it, which I thought looked better than the plastic. It's shinier, it's clearer, and you can tell it's glass instead of using a piece of plastic. So, and that was just, all you got to do is Google, watch crystals on Amazon. 24, I think it's 24 millimeters, and that worked out real well. You can see the wiring. Now, I got to admit, his instructions, the wiring looks all neat and tidy in there. And if I was to build another one and wanted to take the time, I could shorten all the servo wires down, and if I did do it, I might actually take the time to do that, because I got to admit, by the time I got everything working and fitting in there, getting all them wires stuffed up inside his chest cavity was a little bit of a job. There was you just had wires bunched up everywhere because, but I mean, it turned out fine, and it was okay, but it, of course, didn't look anywhere as neat as it does on his diagrams that he did, of course. I'd be curious to see what the inside of his original one looked like, because the diagrams on his instruction sheet, which are very good, the instruction sheet's wonderful, of course, everything looks neat and clean and all that stuff, but there's no way, unless you want to sit there and pre-build it and then cut all the servo wires, resolder them all, and make them all the exact length to make it hook up just perfect. There's no way you're going to get that to look exactly like the instruction sheet. But it works out fine. You just have to be patient, keep working at it. It's very important, to I kind of center the servos, and then you got to be prepared maybe to take your servo, your arms back and forth apart to get your servo positions just right. But it's not a big deal. Now that I've done one, the next one would go much smoother, and this one did fine. I'm quite happy with him, really. He's really impressive. I made the mistake of not painting the reflectors down in the bottom white back on the base, but they still look good because I found a nice strip for super bright, so they still look appropriate. But anyway, I really enjoyed building it. I hope everybody likes the video, and she was a lot of fun. Or he was a lot of fun, I should say. And one more, that's his chest printing out right there. but that's sped up a little bit. But that bamboo printer does. So Robert here. I finally finished Iron Man for the most part. I got a couple little minor things I want to work on, but here he is. And I don't know. I'll try to get him. There we go. I'll fire him up. And everybody's been wanting a kind of video. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll see if I can get rid of that. But anyway, here he is. For the most part, he goes together. I got to compliment the guy that made the original print files. For the most part, everything worked good. I had a couple glitches where I could never get the sound part to work with the software. I tried everything, never could do it, so I finally just put a button in the back that manually turns on the little sound card, and then it randomly plays different video or audio clips from his files. Works fine. I'm not that worried about it. I tried everything. I couldn't get it to work with the software for some reason. Don't know why. And so that's the way I fixed it. But nope, nothing there. I still got one servo I'm not very happy about, but we'll keep tinkering with it. But anyway, here is Iron Man, and I'm gonna put him in a mode to make him move around a little bit. And I'll reach around back and turn on his
Nice call.
voice.
What else you got?
Well, Thor's taking on a squadron down on 6th.
And he didn't invite me.
What just happened? Please tell me nobody kissed me.
So I would say, for the most part,
Take a day.
I would say it's a.
You ever tried shawarma?
I'm quite happy with it.
There's a shawarma joint about 2 blocks from here. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna try it.
No one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language. Oh, actually, he's the boss. I
You know,
just
for the most
pay
part.
for everything and design everything and make everyone look cooler. Of the people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
You know, the question I get asked most often is, Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in a suit? Just like that.
Check the heart, check the, is it the brain? No sign of cardiac anomaly or...
I'm happy with him.
Okay, so it's poison.